morning. Our theme for the entire month is the magic of new beginnings, and it celebrates a new year and a new decade. And I heard one reporter said that it's the first month of the third decade of the second millennium. So happy New Year! And so we're looking this month, all this month, about ways that we can participate in that magic, how we can have those new beginnings. And I believe that we can't talk about them unless we talk about love. So I've chosen Love Becomes Visible as our topic this morning. Judy said that love is all there is, and that we ride on that love. We say that God is love, but what do we mean by that? Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, uses a whole bunch of terms for God. He calls it, in the first chapter of the textbook, the thing itself. First cause, the great I am, the absolute or unconditioned, the one and only Spirit. And he also says that this thing itself is omniscient, all-knowing, omnipresent, everywhere present, and omnipotent, all-powerful. So when we talk about God as love, if God is all there is, then love has to stand as a potential. There is no God in the sky looking down on us in love or in judgment. But love exists as a quality that is expressed when it's in relationship with something else. In other words, you and I are the way whereby God's potential love, the love that's right there, comes into being. You might think of it kind of like electricity is everywhere, but it's not going to do anything until we flip on the switch. So it stands. Love is like that. It stands in potential as law, but it needs relationship to work. So God as the absolute must express through the relative. God as oneness must express as the many. So love is, and we activate it. We make it visible. All of what we call the attributes of God, love, you hear it every single week, love, peace, beauty, truth, harmony, joy, abundance. Those things too exist in the mind of God as ideas. And you and I are here to bring those ideas into individualized expression. I found a statement by Alan Watts that I really liked. It says, through our eyes, the universe is perceiving itself. Through our ears, the universe is listening to its harmonies. We are the witnesses through which the universe becomes conscious of its glory, of its magnificence. So God as potential, God as all, can't stand and look at something. He needs us to do that. It needs us to do that. So that's why Aurobindo tells us that we exist for the delight of God. We exist for this one unconditioned absolute to see itself as magnificent. Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, who's a big contributor to the Science of Mind magazine, tells us, God in our definition is all there is. Thus we use God in every action. But learning how to use it does not mean that we suddenly start using it. Rather, we and the rest of our species have been using it all along, though mostly unawares and with mixed results. So we seek to learn what sort of power we're dealing with, infinite, immediate, in order to use it constructively in our lives. To say that we use God may startle some. It may feel disrespectful to cast the Almighty into the same role as an appliance. But again, only when it is thought of as a separate personality. What we are using, consciously and deliberately, is that power back of creation. And what good is a power that goes unused? What real good is a power that's only stumbled upon and not thoroughly understood. Suppose we back up against a light switch and the light goes on, and we don't know what we did, so we pound on the wall for an hour. We need to know how to use it, what it is, and how to use it. He says, were we not in some way necessary for creation to unfold, we would not exist. Or if we did, we would not be equipped with the complex self-awareness that gives us our capacity to wonder and question and to so profoundly affect our environment and each other. Why we are here is unanswerable. Those who see God as person maintain that he has a plan for us that is our duty to discover and carry out. In the God as all concept, it expresses itself in its creation or outpictures by means of localized agencies of itself that possess co-creative abilities of mental and emotional intention. Those localized agencies are you and me. And since God is all there is, we are those individual expressions of God. That's who and what we are always. We are those localized agencies endowed with the creativity to express God's attributes, love, peace, beauty, truth, harmony, through us. And you've heard me use the phrase, the absolute falling into time, and I think this is what I mean by that. The only way for the one to express is to become and see through the eyes of the many. The absolute falling into time, falling into relation. And the relationship comes with things like time. The only way for love to become visible is through you and me, who are products of time. And that's what makes us live in this world of relationship. Living in the world of relationship gives us the incredible freedom of choice where we can choose to align ourselves, our thoughts, our beliefs with the attributes of God. And Dr. Jennings says we've been using this gift of choice, but often unaware of what we're doing, and therefore we've gotten mixed results. For love to become visible both in our life and in the world, we need to see love in light of its depth and intensity. Marianne Williamson, in A Return to Love, says love taken seriously is a radical outlook, a major departure from the psychological orientation that rules the world. It is threatening, not because it is a small idea, but because it is so huge. Many of you have heard me quote that before. So we don't generally associate radical, major, threatening with love. But if love taken seriously means a complete transformation of our thinking, a relinquishment of a thought system based on fear, and an acceptance of a thought system based on love, then indeed the word radical seems to fit. It's easy to see love made visible here in our center. I think that each one of us expresses our love fully and freely to the very best of our ability. And we try to live our spiritual vision of love in action every day in every way. But if we are each truly introspective, would we be able to say that we are expressing love every day in every way? Are we loving until somebody criticizes us? Are we loving until somebody betrays us? Are we loving to those who do not return our love? In this contentious political time, can we love those who are on the opposite side of our belief? Jesus said it was easy to love somebody who loves us. He said the test was our ability to love our enemies. Do we? Since we're celebrating Martin Luther King Day tomorrow, I wanted to share what he said about this. He says, now there is a final reason I think that Jesus says love your enemies. It is this, that love has within it a redemptive power. There is a power that eventually transforms individuals. Just keep being friendly to that person. Just keep loving them, and they can't stand it too long. Oh, they react in many ways in the beginning. They react with guilt feelings, and sometimes they'll hate you a little more at that transition period. But just keep loving them, and by the power of your love, they will break down under the load. That's love, you see. It is redemptive, and that is why Jesus says, love your enemies. There is something about love that builds up and is creative. There is something about hate that tears down and is destructive. So love your enemies. Isn't that a great example of it? So you and I are the ones who make love visible. And it starts with that consciousness that's filled with the understanding that there is no separation. There's no you, no me. Course in Miracles says there's only one of us here. There's only one of us here. Only one God. Only one power. Only one love. Only one presence as you and as me. And to live from that place, not reacting to what is unloving, but bringing our love to it, just keep loving. And something magical happens. I know you've all heard the story, but I wanted to put it in here because I love it. Once upon a time, there was a traveler. Every time she would arrive in a new place, she would walk around exploring it. And this day she came to a town that's very similar to Green Valley. It was close to noon, and she was starting to get hungry. As she walked through a neighborhood, she noticed a particularly wonderful garden. She stopped to admire it. It had the prettiest looking pepper plants, but the couple who lived there quickly hurried out and pointed to the sign on the fence, no trespassing. The couple glowered at her until she moved down the street. She asked some people where she could get something to eat, and several suggested some very nice restaurants. But I have no money, she reported. Well, then you can't eat in this town, she was told. Then I guess I'll just have to make stone soup for everyone. Stone soup? Yes, I have my magic stone right here. She patted her backpack. Now all I need is a place for a fire, a pot, and some water, and I'll make soup for everyone. The people thought she was kind of strange, but they were curious, and she was promising free soup to everybody, so they led her to a park where there were fire pits, and someone brought out a pot. No, that will never do. We must have a huge cauldron. I see there are many people in your town, and I want to be able to feed everyone. So finally, one family found an enormous kettle in their storage shed. They cleaned it out and brought it for the traveler. Then others brought gallons of water to fill it. Not too full, she said. We want to give the stone room to expand. So they stopped when the cauldron was about 2/3 full. Then the traveler carefully unslung her backpack and slowly undid the straps. She reached inside and carefully drew out a large, smooth, flat, brown stone. She held it right at the water's level and let it slide in. It sank to the bottom and laid there. Everyone took turns looking in to see it. We'll have to wait a while, she said. The water needs to get hot first, then we'll have the best soup you ever tasted. And then she looked in the pot and sighed wistfully. This will be good stone soup, but I do love onions with it. I have onions, exclaimed a man from the back of the crowd, and he ran home and got a bag. And then they cleaned off a picnic table, and several people helped him chop them up. And after they plunked the onions in, the traveler said, yes, this will be tasty. Though I do like a few potatoes in it. It just gives a little flavor. I've got potatoes, offered a woman. So do I, said another, and soon there were people cutting up potatoes at the table. And after the potatoes were added, the traveler took a deep inhale. This smells wonderful. But you know what really makes a good stone soup? A couple of nice ripe tomatoes. Another man offered tomatoes right from his garden. The traveler mentioned several more ingredients that would make a really good stone soup, and of course someone came forth with each item. And now the soup was almost up to the rim. And then she noticed the couple with the beautiful garden had come to see what the crowd was doing. Welcome, have some stone soup with us. And the couple moved closer and looked in the pot. I do keep thinking of your pepper plants. Yes, they are the finest I've seen in a long while. The couple smiled. We've got plenty. We'll go get some. And they did. Then there was a hustle and bustle of finding bowls and spoons for everyone and ladling the soup. And the baker thought he had some extra bread everybody could use. Some others brought drinks, and soon the picnic tables were filled with happily eating people. So more and more came until all the soup was eaten and only the stone remained at the bottom. A young boy looked into the pot and announced, "Look, the stone is glowing. It really is a magic stone." And it was true. It had gotten so hot that it glowed. "You won't be able to touch that for quite a while," one man told the traveler. "Oh, that's my gift to this town. You'll need this stone so that you can make stone soup again. I'll create another one. It's not too hard if you know how." So the town kept the magic stone and used it many times to create a wonderful soup for all. When we have love in our heart, then we open the love in others. The traveler was not hurt by the reproach of the couple with the garden, but drew them in. So they enthusiastically and generously shared their yellow peppers, not just with the traveler, but with everybody in town. When we take a moment to center ourselves in the love that we are, then we can meet any situation with a power that is redemptive, that is transformational. Marianne Williamson says that we're all assigned a piece of the garden, a corner of the universe that is ours to transform. And our corner of the universe is our own life, right where we are, our relationships, our home, our work, our center, our current circumstances, exactly as they are. Every situation we find ourselves in is an opportunity to see beyond fear, beyond wounds, beyond appearances, to that eternal love that is the ultimate truth of who we are. It's the ultimate truth of what everything is. Every circumstance, then, is an opportunity to see the unity that lies behind any separation. It's our opportunity to make stone soup, to bring harmony, peace, love, and joy, to be shared by all. Most of us have heard about the miracle of the loaves and fishes. Jesus was speaking to the multitudes, and as the time drew on, people began to be hungry. And one young boy had 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and he offered them to Jesus. He offered them freely. So the disciples grumbled that that wasn't enough for everyone, but Jesus blessed those 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and they were multiplied, so much so, according to Scripture, that they fed 5,000 people, and there were 7 baskets left over. Most interpretations will tell you that this was the miracle, that Jesus turned that meager amount into enough to feed everyone. But I had a really cool New Testament teacher. He had another idea. His name was Dr. Rocco Errico. And he said, in those days, people wore several robes. And their most precious possessions were in the robe that was closest to their body. So if you're carrying food for the day, or money, those things were in that first robe. And then there may be 2 or 3 above that. And that way, if thieves took the outer robe, they would not take your treasures. Right? So Dr. Errico feels that what this story is saying is that when the young boy was willing to share what he had, it opened the heart of the masses who were prone to hoard what they had. And when everyone shared, just like the stone soup, there was enough left for everybody, and in this case, more left over. Dr. Rocco Errico also said, I can believe that Jesus had the power to turn the few loaves into many, but why would he want to do that? If his whole message was love and compassion, then the real miracle is the expression of that compassion, generosity, and love. The real miracle is love made visible when everyone opened their robes. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says, when we let the love that is within us go out to the God who is in all people and the divine presence that is in all things, then we are loving God with all our heart, with all our soul and mind, because we are recognizing that the Spirit within us is the same Spirit that we meet in others. And this is loving our neighbors as ourselves. And it's redemptive. It's transformative. Edward Markham has a little poem, and I remember it from the time I was a little child. I just loved it then. It's called Outwitted. And he says, he drew a circle that shut me out. Heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in. And that's our job. That's our corner of the garden, to see through the eyes of love, to encircle everyone, every encounter that we experience with the love that is ours. So that's the redemptive, that's the transformative, period. What we are, who we are, and why we are. And when we do that, we find that magic of a new beginning. And we are that love made visible. Thank you. Namaste.